The New Orleans Saints are going into the 2021 season without longtime franchise quarterback Drew Brees. How are they going to respond as a team? We're going to go over their schedule breakdown today. I am your host, Dalton Miller, joined as always by my co-host, Ian Cummings, and let's just get right into it. They play in the division with the defending Super Bowl champions. Obviously, that Week 15 game against the Bucs is going to be the most difficult one on their schedule, according to Las Vegas. Let's go outside of the division and let's look at their schedule and see what games we are really circling for the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, some tougher contests. The Bills versus the Bills, Week 12, Thursday night football.
That will be a Thanksgiving night game.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So get that turkey, get that stuffing, and find a comfy spot on the couch because that's going to be a good one. Always a good one with Josh Allen. And it's going to be interesting because, last year, in any of the previous years, I would have said the Saints because, again, Drew Brees, Sean Payton, that is the matchup. That is one of the NFL-defining matchups offensively. Now, as you said in the intro, post-Drew Brees era, it's going to be a very big adjustment for the Saints. And, I'm optimistic. I hope that Jameis Winston takes the next step with Sean Payton because, again, the talent is definitely there. And he's proven that he can produce. The problem is he produced interceptions with the yards and the touchdowns, a lot of them. So it's going to be interesting. But I'm very excited to see what happens there. And if Jameis Winston can take the next step, he can give the Bills some trouble. I also think that the Packers Week 1 is one that you have to mention. Of course, the big asterisk, is Aaron Rodgers. Is he going to be the quarterback? In previous years, we've been very accustomed to watching Rodgers and Brees when they do face off. That's always a good matchup. So Jordan Love and Jameis Winston is definitely a little bit of it's going to take some getting used to, right? But that could be an interesting one. But if Rodgers is still the guy, then the Packers might help the Saints kind of nudge them to 0-1 to start the year.
Yeah, I think for me, that's the matchup that I'm kind of circling, as long as Aaron Rodgers is around. And it's mostly because I want to see what Sean Payton is able to do. And I think this is why it's the most difficult game. See what Sean Payton is able to do to kind of tone down the turnovers from Jameis Winston. And this is a Packers secondary that is very, very good. They have two very good safeties. They also have, one of the top 3 or 4 cornerbacks in the NFL, 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓. I really like that secondary against this Saints offense to see what Jameis has. I think that's the most difficult matchup on their schedule besides the games against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. For me, the one that I'm circling the most is the Dallas Cowboys game in Week 13, Thursday Night Football, the week after Thanksgiving. And for me, this is the big one on Thursday Night Football because you always have the Sean Payton and Dallas Cowboys kind of narrative because the Cowboys, that's the one that got away from them. Sean Payton was the hot offensive coordinator type, and he's the one that got away. He went to New Orleans. He's obviously had a ton of success. So that narrative is always pushing. On top of, I'm really excited to see this Saints defense play against that Cowboys offense, especially when it comes to Marshawn Lattimore against these Cowboys wide receivers. And for that matter, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson against CeeDee Lamb in the slot.
That's a little suspicious, man. You picked the Cowboys like 3 times today.
This is twice I picked the Cowboys.
I don't know.
These that I picked the Cowboys.
I agree, though. It is a good game to watch. And you have Marcus Williams coming back to free safety, so that'll be a good one. And you drafted Peyton Turner. You got Peyton Turner, Marcus Davenport on the defensive line. What's Tyron Smith? What's his health situation going to look like at this point? Are they going to be able to get pressure there? So that's always a good game to watch. Looking at some of the more defining games for this season, again, I think in that range is where you have to look, right? In that mid-season, third quarter range. And the Cowboys was one that stood out to me. I think the Dolphins, Week 16, could be a good one because, again, we talked about the Saints. The biggest question is going to be that passing attack. Moving on from Drew Brees, what's going to be the deal there? And going up against the Dolphins secondary that has a ton of pieces, man, a ton. I mean, Xavier Howard, Byron Jones. They got Noah I coming into year 2, who I think, I was pretty high on him, so I hope he can pan out. But then they have a few other guys too. Javon Holland, obviously the safety they drafted early. So they have a lot of talent in that secondary. And if Jameis Winston, if Taysom Hill, if that situation hasn't settled by then, that could be a death knell for the Saints' playoff hopes. I'm also looking at the Titans, in week 10. They just traded for Julio Jones. It was one of the biggest stories, probably the biggest story this past weekend. And that offense definitely provides some pressure for the Saints. And looking at the Saints secondary, they do have the talent there, but they took a few hiccups last year. So it's going to be interesting. Can you match up against that wide receiver duo? And can you provide enough on the interior? Can you hold your ground against an offensive line that's still pretty good and has Derrick Henry, of course, behind them, who was the rushing king last year? So I think those are two games against teams in the playoff conversation. Those will kind of turn the tables for the Saints, kind of be the defining games for how they end up.
Yeah, for me, it's going to be the Seahawks coming out of the bye. I think coming out of the bye and having good game plans and winning football games coming off of the bye is big. If you can do it against a playoff team, I think it says a lot about your football team. Sean Payton, Monday Night Football, Seattle. You're going to have Russell Wilson. We saw what he was able to do at the beginning of the season in 2020. He was the MVP front runner for the first half of the season or so before having a little bit of a setback. It'll be interesting to see what the New Orleans Saints are able to do in Seattle to kind of get up in Russ's face and make him uncomfortable. For me, that is the defining game of the season. New Orleans Saints fans, if you are sober, you are not on Bourbon Street currently, let us know in the comments what you think the most defining game is, that one game overall that you need to watch. And what do you think the toughest game on the schedule is? And honestly, give me your record predictions for the Saints fans, because this is one of the most difficult projections I have for the 2021 season. Once again, let us know in the comments.